Hello, dear friends. Have I got a treat for you today? Before hitting record on this podcast, we were giggling so much. I'm bringing you one of my close friends. I am bringing you one of my colleagues, a person that I turn to for guidance and making big decisions in my life and in my business. And she happens to be just a delicious person that makes me laugh so hard. And I just don't even know how to describe how much I love you, Gosia Gorna. And I'm so happy that we get to play on my podcast today. What does it feel like to be here with me?
I am excited. I'm slightly nervous because normally when we speak, we communicate, it's quite playful. I thought to myself, Gosha, behave.
Be serious?
You need to be more professional than normally with Fabienne and giggle. So I'm both. I'm slightly nervous, but as we are speaking now more and more, I'm excited, I'm delighted, and I'm privileged to be here speaking to you, with you, and also to your amazing women, bold-hearted women.
Yeah, I'm privileged as well. And you actually set an intention before we pressed record. Would you be willing to share what that intention was, just so everybody can feel the vibes?
It's actually a very good question, because before we met today, I connected to my intuition. I asked, what's important? Why is it important? What's the intention for this? And so you mentioned that you want women to stop being afraid and just make those bold-hearted decisions more easily. When I connected to this higher intention for this podcast, I felt that it's about women trusting the intuition, trusting the soul, and knowing how to communicate with it. But often in the way there is this fear, and we, including me, we don't know what to do with it sometimes. So it's to give them this delicious, simple, easy tool to play with their fear and embrace it, release it, and turn it into impactful life, impactful work, playful work that makes a huge difference for thousands or millions of people. So my intention that we've set up today was to give women this tool that will transform their life and transform the life of their clients and allow them to spread their wings wide so they can embrace themselves, embrace others, and make a huge, huge impact.
Well, that is my intention for everything I do in my work, and you know this. And I want to unpack fear today, and I want to disarm fear today, because the women who listen to this podcast, Gosia, they have a big heart. They are achievers, and they also have these, sometimes I call them hallucinations, but that's just because it's a fun word to say. These big dreams. There is often a whisper in their heart or a little sparkle or twinkle in their eye. And there is this crazy idea that they have. I say crazy because that's what the muggle world would call it. This crazy idea of doing something big and magnificent and of importance, either with their business, in the world, creating a movement, or, maybe for some of them, it's moving across the world or creating a charitable foundation or just making twice as much, working half the time. And other people in their life would say, stop dreaming so big. But their heart is whispering, I am meant for more. And then the fears creep up. What will they think? What if I try and I fail? What if I don't know enough? I am not enough. What if they will laugh at me and reject me? And what if I don't have enough? Like all the stuff. And I feel like I spend my time at Bold Heart stretching people's dreams and then helping them not succumb to the fear that gets in the way. And this is why I wanted to bring you on. Well, first of all, I thought we would have a great time. But I wanted to have you here just to bring your expertise to the table. Can we set the stage? How did you get into helping people with intuition and overcoming fear?
Very good question. I suppose I must have decided this before I was incarnated. But in this life, how it actually happened, it happened because when I was about 20 years old, someone has broken my heart. And I was so pissed off and I was so hurt and I was so devastated that I decided to do something different. I thought to myself, well, why don't I just do what I've always wanted to do and maybe go to England for a few months and learn English or improve my English. So I arrived here, and as soon as I arrived, every single thing started aligning for me to be at the next meeting, at the next miraculous, coincidental event. And it was just so fast that I realized that it was meant to happen, that breaking of the heart, him being unfaithful. And I was thinking, if he didn't behave like that, I would have never dropped everything and I would have never, come to England. So I started feeling grateful to him secretly. And I thought, okay, let me just see what happens. So I started being introduced to different people. And my first ever job, proper job, was to cook for a family where the woman was pregnant and they were owners of health food shop. And when they noticed that I cook well, but not the right way, they were macrobiotics. They didn't eat cheese. They didn't eat gluten. They didn't eat sugar. And, I was a vegetarian, but I was cooking a very specific food that was delicious, but it didn't agree with them. And so they sent me on a course. It was the macrobiotic course, which was medicinal cooking for people who were unwell. It's a very long story, but I just want to get to the point where I started cooking for people with cancer, for women with cancer, actually. And so I spent many, many months cooking for different women. It was great privilege until I've noticed that food is not the only thing. That it was the emotions, the pain, the resentment, the aggression towards themselves, the disappointment in the husband, in life, and lack of listening to the intuition. So when one of my beloved clients died at the age of 37 with 2 little kids, one was 12 months old, I was so devastated that I just sat down, cried, and I said, what do I do? Cooking is not everything. It's not enough. And then I was guided to open myself up to NLP, hypnosis, and all of those things. In the meantime, I discovered I was very, very intuitive. And I kept on getting information about my clients that they have never told me. And they were sort of spooked by it. Me too. I was like, oh, holy shit. How did I know that? But it was mostly good. It was mostly, I was hearing the highest potentials, the books that I'm meant to write, like maybe not just 1 or 3, 4. For instance, one of my clients came to see me and she was working for advertising company. She was married. She was in England, but she was going to move across the country. She was going to move back to America. And they tried for a baby for many, 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 many years. They couldn't get pregnant. And during the session, I said to her, you will write books and you will sit on Oprah Winfrey's couch. And she laughed at me because all she then was into was Reiki. That was all, right? Nothing else. And anyway, so then she did go back to America. She tried to have a baby. She miscarried. And it was so traumatic for her that she basically went into a little bit of depression. And then her mom came up with an idea that she can be a surrogate mother for her baby. And she gave birth to this beautiful little boy. And then, of course, she was the eldest mother in America. So Oprah Winfrey invited them all. And she was sitting there on her couch, and by then she already had a book about this whole experience. So she did. I'm having goosebumps now when I'm talking about it. And so things were like that would happen. I couldn't actually express how far away in the future, but certain things were popping up in my mind. And so I combined it with the coaching. I combined it with my advice, with the hypnosis, with all the NLP stuff that I was doing. And it created phenomenal mixture. And then people were asking me, well, how do you actually do it? Can you teach
Okay,
me? Can
well,
you teach me? Can you teach me?
I have to stop you and ask you a question. Is this client's name Sarah?
Yeah.
Sarah was in the Bold Heart Business Program for 3 or 4 years.
Oh my God.
And we took her from 100,000 to 1 million
Oh my God.
in 1 year.
Oh my God. Oh my
I
God. Oh
did
my God.
not
Oh my
know
God.
you knew Sarah, and I'm actually going to feature her on this podcast.
Oh, fantastic. Oh my God.
So,
I love her. She's so amazing.
yeah, but isn't that amazing? Like, you and I have known each other for so long. Anyway, side note, but as you're telling the story, I'm like, this has to be Sarah.
Yeah, that's right. Sarah
Okay,
Connell.
so you're bringing in, this is so funny. You're bringing in the hypnosis, the intuition. Did you say Reiki, something else, right?
No, I mean,
You're
many
piecing it all
different
together.
things, but they were,
Anything.
yeah. So as I was sort of playing with all of those things, the intuition was coming in and people were saying, hey, how do you do this intuition? I said, well, I don't know. I just close my eyes and I ask questions and I sort of leave my body a little bit, but how much? Like how many is meters, centimeters? And I don't know. And so you see, that was breaking it down. How do I do what I do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I started combining those things, but I was still then at that point working in a breast cancer clinic. So I was working with women who had breast cancer as a therapist, actually, therapist coach. And one day in our session, this lady comes in who is very, very, very sad. She's crying. She's only 24-year-old. She's sobbing and she says, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And she's sobbing and sobbing. And nothing that I say makes any difference. In fact, all the techniques that I have learned, none of them make any difference. Only she's crying more and more. And I make the intention again. I said, God, angels, can you please help me to help her? Because I want her to leave this place here today free of this humongous fear of dying, because it's stopping her from living and healing.
Yeah.
And this idea came to my mind, which I wrote about, and it was the expansion game, which I birthed thanks to this amazing lady being so scared. So somehow I combined it all, and I now teach people how to turn the biggest fear into the biggest success.
And I just believe that we are all here with a song to sing, a calling, a passion. Some could call it dharma, life's purpose. And it's usually right under our nose. It's the things that we're passionate about, the things we would do for free all day long. It's the things we keep reading about. And at the same time, take it for granted that we can do this thing. And at the same time, we absolutely question that it could be so big for us. And so this idea of being fearless in the pursuit of that which we are here to do is super interesting for me. And one of the things I've noticed is when somebody's business, because as you know, dear Gosia, I'm a business mentor and guide, but so much more than that. And maybe we'll unpack that later today as well. But I see people whose businesses they're doing good, but they're not yet fully activating their potential for greatness. And when they align with that calling and they approach it fearlessly, that's when it's like click, 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 like Tetris, like everything falls into place and boom, they're off to the races. And so this whole idea of I have my calling and I choose to be fearless, together you become unstoppable. And this is the expansion game. And this is the book that you wrote, The Expansion Game. And I'd love to talk about it at some point today. So tell me about fear and overcoming fear. Tell us.
So we often beat ourselves up about being afraid, and I shouldn't be afraid, or we analyze it and we try to make sense of it. But in doing so, often we are quite judgmental about ourselves and about the fear. And my way with the fear is to look at it with the eyes of love, respect, but also compassion and fun. So the actual technique that I'm using is very playful. It's called actually expansion game, because you actually play with the fear. You're not beating it up. You're not
avoiding it, right? Yeah, suppressing,
Yes,
avoiding, denying it. Yeah.
yes. You inviting it to sit in front of you, and you even actually allow it to be there. You even make it bigger. You play with it. It's like when you blow out the balloon. It sometimes becomes so big and that it pops. I don't know if you've ever blew the balloon up so much that it actually disappeared, that it actually fell into little pieces. This is what I always encourage people to look at the fear and remember that behind your biggest fear is your biggest success. So if you knew it, how would you be treating it? Will you be judging it, or will you be curious about it? And so somehow this technique that I have been given, I don't think I've come up with it. It was offered, it was channeled, is really is one of the ways that gives us access to a place of balance, neutrality, humor, love. And when we sit with the fear for a moment in that loving and respectful way, it not only shrinks, but it becomes one of our greatest allies. Because often fear is there to protect us, right?
Yeah.
And it's been doing this faithfully for so many years. Fear of being judged, fear of being criticized, fear of being too successful. One of my clients, she was really scared of being wealthy. In one of our conversations, she goes, "Oh my God, of course. My parents were so wealthy. They lived in Eastern Europe. And one day someone broke into their house and they nearly killed them, and they cut the father's ear off." And so for her, it completely fused money and being attacked or dying, right? And so when we unpicked it and we used the expansion game on this, and of course she needed to do also some therapeutic interventions and release the trauma, but this technique showed her a place of choice that she can stay in there for the rest of her life, being scared and living very simple life so nobody attacks her, or she can go the other way, which is fulfill her full potential, but fully embracing what's in the way. So it's almost like shining the torch and saying to all the fears in the way, "I see you, I hear you, I love you, let's play. Let's dance together."
This reminds me of a concept and a book called The Obstacle is the Way, in the sense that when you get clear of what your biggest obstacle is and you can transform it into the way to get to your next thing, this sounds a bit like your expansion game. It also makes me think of, so you may know that I just did a 3-day mindset deep dive event. And one of the things in my process is like, we put somebody's business or dreams on the Fabienne stretcher, like, let's like make it like 10 times bigger on purpose so that all the fears come up. All the fears, all the beliefs of not being enough. And I'm like, okay, now we can go work on the subconscious mind and transform the fear, or, lessen it and create a new belief, a new neural pathway. And then of course the actions are easy. So you're so speaking my language, and I am so happy that you are sharing this, because it's like almost like the fear is the way.
That's right. The fear is the way, the obstacle is the way. And if we find enough respect and honor and love and compassion for ourselves and for the fearful part, then nothing is impossible.
Tell me about the compassion for the fear. Like, I haven't heard about it spoken that way before. Why
Okay.
should we have compassion for the fear? Because, of course,
Mhm.
usually we avoid it, right?
Yeah. So let's assume for a moment that the fear is there to protect us from. Let me give you an example of my client that I had a few days ago. When she was young, when she was at school, she was laughed at and she was bullied. She moved from school to school because of her parents' situation. And what happened was that every time she went to another school, she was hoping to be accepted and loved. But for whatever reason, she was very bright, she was very pretty, she was very studious. And so there was lots of jealousy. She was trying to be liked, but often it sort of ended up that she was bullied. It happened 3 times quite painfully. And then she had this idea of doing coaching business. She had a very good idea. It was something very unique. She wanted to also write a book. And the pain there was that as soon as I start showing up for all those women, because she also wanted to work with women, and it was actually the women who were bullying her, right?
Mm.
If that happens, I will be destroyed. I will be so scared. I'll be so destroyed. So part of her was setting the goals, knew that she had the know-how, knew that she's very good one-to-one with the clients. She's achieving huge successes for them, with them. But the bigger stages, the being on the podcast, the being in a group of people, being on social media, was making her so anxious that she couldn't sleep. If she knew she needed to do a video, she would not sleep for the night. She would have diarrhea. She would have heart palpitations. And she would speak to herself, "Oh, don't be stupid. Don't care. I don't care what people really think about me." So the fear was saying to her, "Please don't do it." And she said, "Oh, I don't bloody care what they think about me. It's their problem." And she was battling with the fear, trying to be logical about it, and together, right? What we did, I actually took her in this process when I said, let's speak to the fear for a moment and ask it, what does it want to say? What does it want for you? The fear said, well, I am here to protect you from being in so much pain. And she said, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I've been ignoring you for so long. That must have been so hard to work for me in the background for all those years when she was trying to build the business, right? And the fear said that the aspect of her, yes, I'm so tired. So when the fear said, I'm so tired, she actually started crying out of compassion for that aspect of herself, right? So she basically said, well, what do you need from me? And the fear said, well, what I need from you is that to sort out that trauma. Because you're still pissed off with those girls. You still hate them. And when you had the reunion, right, in school, you never went to any of the reunions because you were scared to look into their eyes and give them a hug. They all so anyway, so that was the conversation.
Oh
That
my
is
God,
a slightly
I feel like you're telling my story, that I've been so bullied. That is also a fear of mine. And like, yeah, I have never been to a school reunion because I was so bullied, but that's another story for another podcast.
But you see, so now we're here coming in with wanting to make a business out of our gifts and talents and help other women who've been bullied, right?
Yeah.
But that little one, it's bullied. The fear is bullied because she was bullying it. It's like, oh, shut up. Here, this voice comes again. Fucking shut up. And she was like really swearing at it. And she said, I know it's stupid, but blah, blah, blah. And I said, it's not stupid. Let's embrace it. Let's thank it. Give it love. Anyway, so we had this conversation and we did the expansion game, right? On it. But also when she convinced that part of her that wanted to protect her, that she knows how to take care of it, not to repress it, but to acknowledge it and see the gifts in it. Then she said, if you didn't need to protect me from success, from the judgment and bullying, what would you rather do? It's like finding a different job for someone who is talented, but is not very good with numbers, right? I mean, I used to be a secretary at the very beginning of my journey, and I'm so not good with numbers, and I have dyslexia, and I couldn't write the right numbers and the right words and the right names of the people, and I was going home every day crying. The guy then said, actually, you're very bad at it, but you're better at something else. Why don't you do this?
Yeah, for sure. So is it simply about talking to the fear?
So it's not only about talking to the fear, but it's playing with it, it's acknowledging it, it's allowing it to be there, it's feeling it in the body, breathing into it, and then also looking at the opposite. So on one hand, we have a fear that it's stretched out and what's the worst thing that can happen? And
Yeah.
on the other hand, we have intention. So if you had no fear, if there was no limitation, what would you love to do? But also, what would your soul love to do? Because there is us that wants approval, that wants to make money, but there is also a soul that has got a plan for you, so to speak, right? You came here with a mission. So it's acknowledging what you're here to do, what you're here to be. And then when we release the fear, or when we allow it to basically dissolve by itself, then what happens, and I know, Fabienne, you've experienced it many times, you connect to the wider picture.
Yeah.
You connect to your soul, to your mission. And from a soul point of view, you know that you are here to do certain things which the ego side doesn't even understand. So basically, this technique helps us to move beyond the fear, beyond the ego, connect with the soul. So that's what I believe this whole thing is about, connecting to our true self and doing what we came here to do confidently and boldly.
We've talked about soul alignment before on this podcast. And I think that there's something we don't necessarily realize when we first open a business, is that your business wants to be a vessel for your soul's purpose.
Yes.
And the more you are aligned, and the more you will call it fearless, right? The more you can, work with the fear. I'm going to use your words, right? Play with the fear. Then it becomes your companion to your soul's achievement.
Completely.
Yeah. So I was telling you right before we pressed record about a conversation that I had last night at dinner. And I normally would not bring it up here today, but you are here with me. So we had last night a young woman. First of all, I so respect a 20-year-old, 21-year-old friend of one of my kids who says, I'm in Paris, Mr. and Mrs. Fredrickson. Can I please come and have dinner with you guys?
How nice.
And we said, sure, but none of our kids are home. Like, your friend, is not here. And there's like, oh, I don't mind. I just want to be with the two of you. This is not the first time this has happened, by the way. And of course, I so admire young people who do that. And I feel very privileged that they want to hang out with me. But as the evening went along, she's like, oh, Fabienne, I never really understood what you do. And so I told her that I started out 25 years ago creating the client attraction system. And then I moved into this idea of helping women make their own money and lots of it. And that's when they have a voice and a choice. And then I started talking about how this world needs more women who are empowered and who can make decisions because they make money. Nobody's going to put them in a box or take their voice away. And then I went to my office and I grabbed a tall stack of books about the divine feminine and the emergence of the divine feminine and, the suppression of the feminine and the creation of patriarchy and all of that. And I just found myself emphatically, enthusiastically explaining to her the difference or the correlation between business coaching and the divine feminine. And I share this because I don't put that on my website.
And why not?
Because I think I'm scared.
Mm.
Isn't that funny? And I know in my heart that I am a spiritual business coach, right? And I'm bringing this to you here because you said, Fabienne, why don't you bring me one of your greatest fears? And I was nervous even about that. But this idea of you can be a very pragmatic, strategic, practical business coach and intuitive, spiritual, like catalyst for the divine feminine to rise on this planet. So, friends, I am revealing it to you here, and I am a little nervous. I feel the tears coming up in my throat, like, oh boy, I'm letting the cat out of the bag. And a lot of my clients who listen to this are like, Fabienne, we all know this about you. I'm like, you do, but not the public. So I'm just presenting this to you, Gosia. So maybe we can talk about it.
Well, instead of even talking about it, shall we actually play with it?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. This feels exposing, right?
Yes. And so first of all, I want you to congratulate yourself for doing what you preach, because you're actually showing up very vulnerable and honest. This is what I love about you so much. We've had a joy to spend a lot of time together.
Countless late night conversations.
And you are so real. You just say it the way it is, whether it is painful, scary, you just say it. And everybody is just speechless when you speak because it's so real. And you're so successful, I also think, because you are honest. And so Fabienne, can I just ask you, in your opinion, what is, give me a very short definition of what is a spiritual coach, business coach?
I believe that a spiritual business coach is somebody who can look at the alchemy of the divine and the masculine energies in a business. I know that sounds very theoretical, but it's exactly what I said before. You've got your business coach, which is the practical, pragmatic, here's what to do, here are the strategies. And the feminine, which is the intuition, the subconscious, the alignment with purpose, and also the feminine energy of rest and peace. And I believe that when both are together, it is the alchemical marriage of the yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine, and it is bringing spirit to business.
Brilliant. And so if there is no limitation on this at all for you, what would you love to accomplish in this area?
Okay, so this is where the tears are coming up in my eyes. I have this crazy hallucination that I want women around the world to make their own money, and lots of it. So for you and me, lots of it could be 7 figures, 8 figures. For somebody in totally different countries, it might mean making 500 a month, right?
Yeah.
$500, pounds, euros, or whatever the currency is. But for her to have a voice and a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I've often said, and I said it last night to this young woman, and I say it to all my kids and anybody who will listen, is that in any decision, conversation, or dispute, the one with the most money is the one with the most power, and therefore the one who makes the last final decision on anything. And if you think about, really, I was going to say millions, but the billions of women out there who don't make their own money, therefore they don't have a voice, they don't have a choice in their life. If I could empower women globally to make their own money, but also to reclaim their sovereignty and their dignity through the power of having their own business, even if it's the women who are beading necklaces in the Masai Mara or whatever it is. That's a long answer to your short question, but I want women's sovereignty through business and self-worth.
So, but you're already doing this. So what is the fear there? What's the fear about?
I think because I too was heavily bullied for years, I've had to be, this is turning into a session. I've had to stay within the lines and be what people expect me to be, as opposed to being multi-passionate, multi-talented, to be fully expressed. So I teach women all the time, be the fullest expression of who you really are. And for me, it would be to wave the spiritual teacher flag much, much wider and speak about the divine feminine much, much wider than I'm doing now, because some parts of me wants me to stay coloring in the lines so that I don't get rejected and bullied again.
Beautiful. Okay, so tell me, if you wave the divine feminine flag a lot more,
Yeah.
and just combine it with your business and financial coaching, what is the worst thing that could happen?
Not to be taken seriously, to be criticized, humiliated, rejected, outcast, really.
An outcast. So, and what's the worst thing that could happen then?
The worst thing that can happen then, I mean, it's happened before and I'm still alive, so.
Yeah. What is the worst thing that can happen if you and an outcast, you speak the truth, you share all of you, and people judge you, criticize you, and they basically mock you, they laugh at you, haha, she's crazy. What's the worst thing that can happen if you're an outcast?
I guess sadness and rejection, and I don't have words for it. I think what it does is it picks this wound from childhood. Yeah, maybe I'm not lovable, or I'm not useful, or maybe I was wrong about my passion.
Okay, so the worst thing is that you feel alone, rejected, and you start doubting your gift. And if you started doubting your gift, what's the worst thing that could happen then?
Then maybe I'm not connected with the divine after all.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I don't have a real purpose.
I've got goosebumps. So the fear is that you only thought that you are special and you have this unique gift and mission, that maybe actually it was a hallucination, and you don't have this special gift and talent and mission. And if that was the case, what's the worst thing about that?
Yeah, maybe I'm inconsequent. I don't matter.
That's
Maybe
it.
that's what it is.
That's it. So just out of interest, I think this is like who you are and what you have to bring to the table, of no consequence, that you basically don't matter. I think this is it. And how big is the fear that if you start sharing honestly the divine feminine stuff and the spiritual stuff together with the financial information, that you get rejected, laughed at, and then you find out that you actually, what you have to offer doesn't matter to people? How is it on from 1 to 10? How big is the fear?
I think it's actually as big as an 8. I mean, I share it, maybe a 7 or an 8, because I've been working on it. I've been doing some personal healing on it, but it's still pretty big. I mean, I share it, but I don't share it like, ta-da, for all the world to see. Just the ones in my inner circle.
So let me ask you one more question about this fear. So if you discover that you don't matter, what could be the worst thing that would happen then?
Be alone? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there anything worse than that? You're alone, unimportant, unloved?
Oh, I think that sounds pretty bad.
It sounds pretty bad. Okay, lovely. So if this is your core wound, so that you can see why that little you, that the little scared you inside of you says, Fabienne, it's good that you're making all this money, but please don't go this way, because then we will feel the pain again that you felt in the past. And doesn't that part of you actually require love and honor and respect and tenderness? Okay, so we will come to that in a moment, but I am grateful to that part of you because it's keeping you safe.
Yeah, it's trying hard to keep me safe, for sure.
Yeah, it's not doing anything bad. It's doing just basically its job. Because if you say to it, piss off, you don't matter, right? What do you mean I don't matter? I've been working hard for you for 40 years, right? Okay. But we know, so this is this side, and we embrace it, we see it, and we love it. And then I want to ask you the opposite, the other side.
Yeah.
If you start speaking the truth, You start speaking about the divine feminine. You start sharing with women the other side that usually is not so talked about.
Yeah.
But you balance it with the financial side. What is the best thing that could happen for them? Let's just speak about them. The best thing.
It's those two words that I shared, sovereignty and dignity for women worldwide.
But how is spirituality, bringing spirituality to making money, going to make them be that? Just want to make the logical connection.
Yes, it's because when a woman makes money, her own money, then she can say what she wants, and she can have a choice to stay in situations that she wants to stay in or leave, or she owns herself is really what it comes down to.
Right. But women achieve it even without spiritual divine feminine. Sometimes they push, sometimes they crush. So what I'm asking about really, what would be the biggest benefit for them if they start working with the divine feminine on top of making money through the focus and planning and all of those things?
I know that they would. The more you work on your spirituality, the more you realize you are a child of God, the more you are worthy, the more bold you can be, the more you matter and are loved, not necessarily by people, but by the divine, whatever you call the divine.
Now I'm having goosebumps going all over my body, up and down, up and down. So it's no longer searching approval from the people, from the tribe, but it's knowing that you are absolutely perfect in the eyes of God, of the divine. So you can relax and you can just basically be one of the members in the army of the divine team. You are part of the divine team. So if you're the divine team, there is almost no danger.
Yes, I agree with that. You can fearlessly be the fullest expression of who you really are because the divine's got your back.
And only then you can do it.
Yes.
Only then. Because through all my fears, all the challenges that I have, if I sit down and I start writing and I say, hey, Saul, I have this problem with such and such a thing. What is your view on this? My soul goes, right, look at this through the eyes of God, my love. And then things melt very quickly. So what are you actually giving if you go this way and you're already going that way with all your clients and you're speaking the truth and you say you are the child of God and goddess and you are the love, embodied love. Okay. And so whatever you'll do, you'll be always loved and accepted. Now, knowing that, what can you do? What do you want to do? What do you want to create? How do you want to impact people? So my question is, if you teach this, embody this, and give the know-how of what are the steps of stepping into it, what do you think would be the biggest benefit to those women, other than the things that you have said? Just imagine.
Do you mean tangible benefits?
Yeah, tangible, spiritual. What will happen in the world if all your clients who take what you teach seriously would step into the spiritual feminine energy fully?
Okay. I have long believed that energetically, the masculine has been sitting alone on the throne for thousands of years next to an empty feminine throne.
Yes.
And the feminine sits back in her rightful place to balance out the energies that have been off kilter for thousands of years.
And what will happen in the world when that empty chair is taken? What will happen in the world?
Balance, peace, everything that you would associate with joy and the opposite of greed and corruption.
Yes.
And the opposite of that.
Okay. So, sweetheart, I think we have all the elements here. And I know that we've been chatting for almost 50 minutes. So let's go and do it.
Yes.
And see what happens. Okay. So what I want you to do is to just for a moment connect to that part of you which so ferociously protected you from being bullied and unimportant. So just look at her and let her know that you respect who she is you love her, you see her, and she's hugely important to you. And ask her if you pass this fear on, this danger on to the divine. And if she knew that you're fully protected and held, and that you have this big mission, what else would she want to do with her life? With what other job would she like to do instead? Because she must be tired.
I was just going to say she could go and rest because she's been working really hard.
And would she prefer to rest, or would she prefer to be on your team? And if so, what would she prefer to do?
I think she would prefer to be on my team because we've gotten along really well.
Exactly.
I think she would rather be my encourager.
Right. Okay. So ask her to go and step into the shoes of the encourager and see how it will be for her, whether it's sitting well with her.
I think she would enjoy that.
Right. So ask her to just watch what happens now. You say thank you. It's now your time to rest, and you can encourage me on the side as well. So now, Fabienne, take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Keep your eyes open and repeat after me. Say this. I allow myself.
I allow myself
to play with the idea of being a spiritual teacher.
To play with the idea of being a spiritual teacher.
But really hide it from people.
But really hide it from people.
And never honestly speak what I want to say, ever.
And never honestly say what I want to say, ever.
And just faff about.
And just faff about.
And pretend.
And pretend.
And lie to my people.
Oh, and lie to my people.
And for them to, therefore, to slow down the progress.
Therefore, to slow down the progress.
And keep them in my programs for years and years.
And keep them in my programs for years and years. That's a different story.
Yes, that's a different story because I don't know, I'm just channeling. And for them to not fully step into their power.
For them to not fully step into their power.
And I allow myself to do that, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I allow myself to do that, and I'm looking forward to it.
Take a deep breath in and let it go. Release it. And then say, but I also allow myself.
But I also allow myself.
To speak the truth.
To speak the truth.
And say how it is for me.
And say how it is for me.
And bring the divine feminine into everything that I do.
And bring the divine feminine into everything that I do.
And for some people to judge me and criticize me.
And for some people to judge me and criticize me.
And laugh at me and mock me.
And laugh at me and mock me.
Openly.
Openly.
And for me to freak out.
And for me to freak out.
And feel exactly the way I felt when I was a young woman or a child.
And for me to feel exactly like I felt when I was a child.
And allow them to bully me.
And then allow them to bully me.
And allow myself to be bullied.
And allow myself to be bullied.
And even bully myself.
And even bully myself.
Into not speaking the truth.
Into not speaking the truth.
And I'm looking forward to it.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And say, but I also allow myself.
But I also allow myself.
For them to judge me and laugh at me.
For them to judge me and laugh at me.
And for me to start feeling like nobody.
And for me to start feeling like nobody.
Feel insignificant.
Feel insignificant.
Unimportant.
Unimportant.
And become the wealthiest outcast in the universe.
And to become the wealthiest outcast in the universe.
And I'm so much looking forward to it.
I'm so much looking forward to it.
Take a deep breath in and breathe out. But I also allow myself.
But I also allow myself.
To connect even more deeply with divine feminine.
To connect even more deeply with the divine feminine.
And know that I am on the divine team of God.
And to know that I'm on the divine team of God.
And know that I'm always loved and significant.
And know that I'm always loved and significant.
Even though I don't run another program.
Even though I don't run another program.
Even though I don't write another book.
Even though I don't write another book.
I'm always safe, loved, and adored.
I am always safe, loved, and adored.
And I allow myself to get even more powerful with this knowledge.
And I allow myself to get even more powerful with this knowledge.
And ooze it out to my women.
And ooze it out to my women.
So every single person who works with me ever again.
So every single person who ever works with me ever again.
Feels worthy.
Feels worthy.
Feels loved and safe.
Feels loved and safe.
And speaks with power.
And speaks with power.
Appropriate power.
Appropriate power.
In a feminine way.
In a feminine way.
Making huge impact in their community.
Making a huge impact in their community.
Making huge money.
Making huge money.
And taking the seat next to the masculine energy.
And taking the seat next to the masculine energy.
On her empty throne.
On her previously empty throne.
Yes. To create bigger balance in her life.
To create and be the balance in her life.
In all the men's life.
In all the men's life.
In governments, in politics.
In governments and politics.
For all the women to step into their power.
For all the women to step into their power.
And all the men connecting with the feminine side as well.
And all the men to connect with their feminine side as well.
And I allow myself to be very well known for this.
And I allow myself to be very well known for this.
Bringing money and spirituality together.
Bringing money and spirituality together.
And make thousands or millions of times more money than I've ever made.
And make millions times more money than I've ever made. Is that English?
And the same for my clients.
It's the same for my clients.
So maybe we can even create a foundation.
Maybe we can create a foundation together.
Of all the overflowing money.
Of all the overflowing money.
Helping women across the world.
Helping women across the world.
To do what they came here to do.
To do what they came here to do.
To say what they came here to say.
To say what they came here to say.
And to finally relax.
And to finally relax.
And feel safe.
And feel safe.
Sitting on their thrones.
Sitting on their thrones.
With balance in their life.
With balance in their lives.
And I'm so much looking forward to it.
And I'm so much looking forward to it.
Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And now, my darling, I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to go about 3 years into the future. Yeah, about 3 years into the future. And I want you to see yourself fully speaking the truth. Fully stepping into your power. Feminine power. Sitting on the throne. And all the women sitting on their thrones. And tell me what's different about your business. What's different about your message. What's different in your life generally. Tell me, what do you see?
Do I keep my eyes closed?
It's up to you.
Okay. I see, actually using the word spiritual business mentor on my website. New languaging. More direct communication of the fact that I am a spiritual teacher and a business mentor together. And having programs and books that help women all around the world to gain sovereignty and dignity. And maybe even that charitable foundation that you mentioned for the overflow.
And what's different for your clients? Have a look.
They feel even more empowered and more connected to their divine feminine, whatever that is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And check if your future self, what advice would she want to give you for the next few months of your year? What would she want to ask you to do differently or say differently?
the thing that came in was, if you knew who walked beside you, you would never be in fear.
Oh, goosebumps again. Oh my God.
That feels so delicious.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm an 8 on that scale anymore, Gosia.
Exactly. And that was my next question. Can you check? What do you feel right now? What's the number?
Maybe a 3 or a 4. That is radical.
That's radical. This is
Yeah.
it. I felt it even shift me.
Wow.
Even I've shifted. And I'm still sort of, the energy is still moving through my body, and I have cold, hot. And so, Fabienne,
Mm-hmm.
I feel privileged for you to allow me to play with your fear. So now you have a new team member, which is your little younger self. And so I wanted to ask you, if you looked at yourself now, as we're sitting here with your eyes open, through the eyes of God or goddess, what would you see about Fabienne and this whole conversation? Because many of the listeners may have exactly the same story going on in their head. So looking through the eyes of God at this whole issue, what do you see now?
About the issue or about me and the issue?
Both, because one is your issue and how you feel about it, but also how do you see it now through the eyes of God for all the other people who are experiencing the same challenge?
The issue is minimized. It's almost sweet, like,
Yeah.
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
And how I see through the eyes of God, goddess, I see a braver and more bold-hearted woman than she realizes, and that she can do this.
Yeah. And can I add? And she
Yes.
she can only do it
Mm.
supported by divine feminine and the whole spiritual attitude. She can only truly feel safe enough to relax, to trust, to let go, to speak to her soul, to write, to use the language that is a bit risky. She can only do it when she is spiritually anchored. So thank you.
Thank you, Gosia. I was reading a line in a book just this morning, and I wish I could grab it. I think it's over there, but it was something like, I have in the past shared this message, but perhaps I was a little too soon, and now is the right time.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you. I feel open, vulnerable, but in a safe way with you, because I adore when we spend time together. Thank you. Tell us about the book and where we can get it.
So the printed version, The Expansion Game by Gosia Gorna, is the powerful method to transform your fear into brilliance. You can get it on Amazon, but you can also get the digital version on my website, gosiagorna.com.
And we'll put it in the show notes.
I think that, and of course, I've wrote this book quite a few years ago, and there's other things that I do around it. I even created a course that I felt was missing in the book, and it's called Clarity Activator. So it is approaching the fear in a softer way. And because one of my tools, the greatest tools that I use daily myself, and I ask my clients to do the same, is to write. So when we are unsure and unclear, we then take our special expansion notebook and we start writing. And the questions that we ask are the key. So we need to learn how to ask the questions correctly so it opens the right doors. So the Clarity Activator is also on my website.
Thank you for sharing. And of course, I'll pop the website in the show notes for you all to go. Gosia, I want to also say something. A year ago, before I started this podcast, and it's incredible to know that it's already been a year, you had some predictions for this podcast, and you told me that it would be very popular and very important. And I just want to thank you, because part of your belief or in part, your belief has made me just open up in this last year in ways that I'm not sure other people would have, but I've really enjoyed being my full expression here. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for being in my life. And I know that some of my friends and clients have worked with you, and friends, if you feel in alignment with anything we've talked about here, please do reach out to Gosia. Gosia, would you have any parting words for us on this episode that you'd like to share with our beautiful sisters listening?
Yes, I would love to do a little blessing. Can I? Yes.
Please do. You know I'm up for that.
So can you please close your eyes, whoever is listening to it, unless you're driving, of course, and take a deep breath in and breathe out, and ask about your business. Ask about something that you want to change in your life. And then see in front of you, big screen, 2 screens. Screen A is where you are right now. Screen B, where you are in the future, successfully doing what you came here to do. And see what the difference is in between those 2 screens. When you look at the screen B, what's different about your thinking, feeling, and the actions that you're taking. And I want you to step into that future you and feel this new, energized, confident self. See the decisions you are making. And from that place, what advice would you give to yourself? What advice would you give to yourself and the specific question that you have? What do you need to do next? How do you need to be? What do you need to let go of? And as you giving yourself this advice, I would love you to also bless yourself. And just quietly repeat in your mind this sentence: I bless myself from the bottom of my heart with divine love, divine order, divine feminine courage to do what I came here to do. I bless myself with abundance. I bless myself with intuitive wisdom. I bless myself with so much flow and pleasure. And I bless myself with the sense of allowing all that I've ever asked for to receive it fully. And from the bottom of my heart, I bless my family, my friends, my clients, my partner with so much success, perfect health, joy, and greatness. And it is done, it is done, it is done. And see like you are illuminating every aspect of your business, every aspect of your life. You illuminate your body and just visualize yourself sitting on this throne, confidently, but gently and lovingly, remembering that you came here with a specific mission and you absolutely know who you are and you know what you need to do, just one step, next step. You know what to do because you'll be guided. So with all of that, with love for yourself, with respect for yourself, connected to your intuition and divine wisdom, take a deep breath in, breathe out, and open your eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. So lovely. Thank you, my dear friend. I appreciate the generosity and your big heart. And thank you to all of you who tuned in today. I'm so glad you got to meet Gosia. And thank you. Let us go do our work. Thanks, my sweet friend.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love
Bye.
you too. Bye.